Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to the May Mystery Painting, where I attempt to keep you in the mystery while bringing you along in very easy steps so that you end up with a beautiful little painting. And I'm so happy that you're here. If it's your first time, welcome. And if you've done the mystery painting with me before, welcome back. I just want to say that I am so happy that you've decided to join me. And honestly, I'm so grateful that you have chosen to paint with me and taken some time out of your day, whether you're watching this live right now or taking some time and watching it in the replay. And just give yourself some love right now because you've taken that time to enjoy creating, and we're all going to paint our way to happy. So, as you jump on, if you want to say hi to me, I am watching in the comments. If you have any questions, I can see them in my laptop next to me, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. But let's go over what we're going to need today for our painting. And I'm really excited about this one because this one's really going to have kind of a painterly feel. Let me know if you can hear me, by the way, too. I want to make sure that all of my tech is set up correctly. Hi, Margaret. Hi, Constance. Oh, I'm so excited. The gang's all here. So, sorry, I'm clearing my throat. First time I'm talking this morning. So, let's go over the colors that we're going to need today. So, we're going to be using 6 colors. We're going to keep it simple again, kind of a simple palette. We're going to be using orange, red, just any kind of orange, red, any kind of brand that you have laying around is fine. Yellow. I've got Deco Art here from Michaels. I've got like a kind of a combination of things. I've got Craft Smart, that's also from Michaels. Really inexpensive paints. So we have orange, red, yellow, green, blue. I have this, I chose primary blue in Deco Art. And, if you want to do this painting again, if you really enjoy it, if you have a phthalo blue, this painting's going to be gorgeous in phthalo blue. But I just have a primary blue in Deco Art. We have our titanium white. And I'm going to move all of these aside here. I've got I've got 2 water containers. I always love using these Folgers. I drink a lot of coffee, and these are just so cute, and I keep them and I use them for water containers. And I use 2 because I like to dip my dirty brush in the first one and get all the paint off, and then dip it in the second one to really kind of clean it really well. So for you, I chose 3 different brushes. And for the size of the canvas for the mystery paintings, I always suggest not going really above an 8x10 or an 8x8, just so that you can kind of keep up with the mystery painting. But, if you love it so much, after you're done and you want to do it again, do it any size you want. But, for the mystery painting, keep it small. So for that size, I suggested using a number 6 round brush. You know that if you've painted with me before, this is one of my favorite brushes. It gets a really nice sharp tip when you've dipped it in your paint. So we've got a number 6 round brush. We've got a small filbert. The filberts are the flat brushes, but they have the round tips to them. So these are really versatile. So we've got the small filbert. I've got a larger filbert. And so that's for your smaller canvas. I'm going to be painting on a larger canvas today, just so you can see it. I'm on an 11x14. So I've also just grabbed my flat brushes in case I need to cover some real estate with my paint. Okay. I've also got a paper towel. The paper towel I use to just dip my brush in the water and wipe it off so that we never have too much water for this particular painting. Sometimes you can do that for whatever project you're using, but not for this one today. And then I'm going to be using some styrofoam plates. You know what? I always love to eat grapes. And I know this topic's going, phew, it's like she's talking about grapes now. But I go to the corner store and I buy grapes because I love grapes, and my parrot loves grapes, and they come on these little styrofoam trays, and it's perfect. So I save them, and these are perfect for paint palettes, you know? So that's what I'm going to be using today in case you want to know what those are. And here's my canvas. I'm going to be using an 11 by 14. And I'm so excited. And let's get ready to go. Now, remember that this tutorial is going to be available right after it ends. So, you know, don't stress out about, oh my God, I have to keep up, and oh, they're going to leave without me. The bus is leaving without me. You know what? Don't worry about it. If you're enjoying where you are in the moment, in the step that you're in, stay there, enjoy the moment, keep watching, see what happens next. And you can always come back to the tutorial and do more of a pause and paint and just have a really nice experience. So I want you to have fun today. Again, if you're new, you have well, actually everyone here has no idea what you're about to paint, but I'm pretty excited about this one. I'm really excited. I love the colors. I love the movement of it. And I think you're going to have a lot of fun. So let's go. Let's get this view here going. Here we go. Woo! Okay. Super, super excited. So let's start with our cool colors. So our cool colors would be the blue, the green, and we're going to be adding white to that. Okay, so let's just put some blue out on our palette. And we're actually going to be using a good amount of blue today. So it's okay to get, like, you know, a $50 size out there. And I'm going to put my white next. Not a whole bunch at this point. Oops, we got some white on there, and we'll see what happens with that. And then green. So I'm almost out of this green. In fact, I am out of that green. We'll just put that guy to the side, and I'll grab my Craft Smart. There we go. We got some good green going there. So hopefully this this iPhone shows the correct color. So we've got blue, we've got white, and we've got green. And we're just going to start out with our round brush because we're first going to be doing some very, very loose sketching. Don't worry about it. Have fun. And super, super excited. Hey, Sue, I'm glad you've joined. Sue's getting ready to get painterly, and I love that. So what I'm doing first is I'm going to keep my water over here and try to keep everything in frame so that you can see also what I'm doing for the whole thing. So I'm going to dip my brush in my water first because it's going to just make the brush feel good. And I'm going to wipe it off on my paper towel really good. Okay. And I'm also going to just kind of twirl the tip to get that tip kind of reshaped. And we're going to go in and we're going to mix some light blue. And we're just going to use this light blue at the moment to kind of use it as sketching. So I'm going to pull this white over here. We'll use this little area for mixing. And I'm just going to dot some blue in here until I get the blue that I want. I just want a nice light blue. Okay. And you can add a bit of water to it to make it a little more fluid if you want, because I don't want it too globby at the moment. We're going to be using this as our sketch. Okay. And when I dip my round brush in there, if you can see, I'm actually twirling the brush. again, to make that nice tip on the number 6 round brush or whatever brush you have. So I'm going to move this out of the way. Maybe we'll move it over here for now. And what I want you to do first is kind of put your hand in the middle of your canvas, kind of to establish where there's going to be an element. Doesn't matter if you've got a rectangle or a square, we're going to have an element in the middle of our canvas. We're also going to be adding some elements up here and down here in the corner. So we want room for that. So the first thing we're going to do is make a C shape, like the letter C. And I'm going to start it about 1/3 of the way down on the canvas. And if you want to watch me for a second, I'm just going to lightly sketch. Doesn't have to be a perfect C. We're just sketching this because paint's going to be over this. And we're just doing a C. So I did a C and I just kind of pulled it out a little further. So hopefully you can see that C. It's like a C. Okay. Awesome. Now we're going to move up to the top of our canvas and we're going to add a circle, kind of a circle that's off the canvas. So if you start right up in the middle of your canvas at the top. I'll move this down so you can see. And we're going to just kind of make a circle. And it doesn't have to be a perfect circle because this is going to be an organic element. So we're just getting the area of where we want our elements. Then we're going to add another one of those elements right here. So if you want to watch, I'm going to start this second kind of circle kind of off the canvas. You see how it's just kind of off the canvas there. All right. And then we're going to add another one down in this corner. So it can be any kind of circular shape you want. We're going to leave a little space between that element. We're just going to kind of sketch in a circle here, just like that. So you should have these patterns on your canvas now. All right. So I'm going to clean that brush completely. We're going to get the color off of that brush. And now we're going to be switching to our green. And I'm going to use you can use your medium filbert for this or your larger filbert. That might cover some more space. And we're going to kind of just paint in these elements with green. So just go ahead and paint those in. And if you're, depending on what surface you're on, well, I am on a canvas panel. And I know some of you are probably painting on canvas and some of you are in your art journals. So if your painting is leaving, if your paint is leaving brush strokes, that's kind of awesome. So take those brush strokes from the outside. Let me pull this down so you can see this better. Take those brush strokes from the outside of that circle and pull it in like this. Okay? Because we actually want those brush strokes. Those are super cool. So we're going to just do that to each circle. We just want that green on there. So I'm just going to boop, fill that in with some green real quick. Just real quick. Don't be precious with it. Just block it in. This is the first layer of blocking in. And then I'm going to just pull all of those, pull my brush into the center to get those very, very cool brush strokes. And then I'm going to go down to this one. We're going to leave this one alone right now, but we're also going to fill this one down here with green. So just go ahead and do it quickly so that you get your movement going. You just are warming up. It's almost like a exercise, just warming up. Get loose with it. Don't go slow. Get loose. Get loose. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Just fill it in real quick. Don't worry about it. And then pull those lines into the center again. Pull those in. Just get loose with it. Move quick. I love that. I love what happened here. See what happens. Okay. Woo, I love this. I love it already. I'm so excited, you guys. This is going to be such a pretty painting. You're going to love it. 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 All right. So now we're going to just lighten this green up a little bit. I'm going to just dab a little bit of white, make it a little bit more opaque. And then we also have our blue, right? So I'm going to go back into my circles and I'm just going to lighten up randomly. It's almost like we're doing some spokes in a wheel or a clock. Just random. I just want some lighter spaces here. Always pulling to the center. Same with down here. Just a couple pulling to the center. Okay. Then I'm going to rinse my brush. You actually don't have to rinse your brush. I don't know why I did that. Maybe don't rinse your brush and go back in to your light blue and kind of do the same thing. Maybe pull some streaks. I'm going to move my water just a bit to give myself some more room. I'm just doing that on all of these circles here. And then I'm going to do one more mixing thing. I'm going to take my green, I'm going to pull some green over to the side and dip a little bit of my blue to get a darker green. And I'm going to just do some lines, some random lines like this. Okay. So you should have this so far. Just have some nice green kind of wheel elements, okay? And I'm just going to grab my hair dryer to make sure I've got it close in case I have to move to the next step for you guys. And if my paint's not ready, that's one thing I forgot. So let me just grab it. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, let's see here. Let's go back into let's grab our round brush. If you guys are ready, maybe I should wait to see if you're ready, but you should be ready. We're just being super loose. I'm going to go back into this kind of bluish light blue that I have with my round brush, okay? Make sure everyone's ready. All right. And I'm going to go back to the start of my C And I'm going to make a smaller C like this. Okay. Looks like a moon, doesn't it? And then I'm going to do another more open C. So watch me for a minute. I'm going to start at the same place and I'm going to go down and make a more open C. And I'm going to kind of stay right in the middle of that element. Let me just grab some water here. I'm going to go like this, and I'm going to come down like this and end up like that. Just pulling down a more open C. So remember, we have our first big C, a second smaller C, and a third more open C. Just a nice movement there. And now I'm going to just make a little more of my light blue because I'm running out here. And at this point, this next move might reveal what this is. And if it does, that's awesome, because then you're going to be super excited about what you're painting. But don't tell, okay? If you're like, oh my God, I know what it is, and don't type it, okay? Let's try to keep our friends in the mystery for as long as we can, okay? So on this next move, I'm going to make a little straight line that goes right down here, just a teeny line. And then I'm going to close up this, I'm going to close up this area. I'm going to draw a line. I don't know how to describe this. So I'm just going to draw a line like this and it's going to meet right here. So do you see what I just did? It's like a nice curve. Okay. I'm excited. I'm excited. So that's what you should have so far. Your big C, your smaller C, a nice line that came down like this straight line, and then we wanted to close it up. So does anyone have any questions so far? And don't worry about this, because you can actually change this shape as we go. All right. That's what we want so far. And now I am going to clean my brush. And when I clean my brushes and set them down, I always reshape the tip and then just set them down and let them dry. Especially my my round brushes, I always reshape them and just set them down. Do that with all of the brushes. So the next color we're going to be using is our blue, our solid blue. So you can use your large filbert brush for this. I'm actually going to jump to my super large flat brush because I'm on such a big surface. Pull my, oops. Sorry, I'm going to pull my apron back onto my lap here because I tend to get messy. And we're going to start painting in the background with our blue. And just be loose with it. So this is the true blue. This is a really, really gorgeous blue deco art. This is what I would call a phthalo blue. Phthalo blue is a very cool color. Now, when you're filling in the background, if you've got brush strokes, I love it. Leave the brush strokes. We want some movement. So when we're going to You go up to your green elements. The brush strokes are awesome. Just get real loose and painterly with it. I bet you can tell what this is going to be, but don't tell. I said, I bet you can tell, but don't tell. And when you get up to this element in the middle, we don't want to fill that in, but we want to get right up to it. And I want you to move fast because I do want you to have some brush strokes in there, okay? And I just want you to get that feeling of just the freedom of painting loose and not worrying about, if it's going to look like something specific. When you're painting around your circle elements, it doesn't have to be a perfect circle. And if it's not, that's really kind of what we're going for because they're organic elements. And if you have to actually deliberately make a wavy line around your green things, that's fine. That's awesome. So as you get closer into the middle element, you can just, you don't have to go all the way up to those little lines that are coming out. You can just kind of leave some space for them so that you know where they are. Don't make it nice and neat. So along this, I am making it nice and neat, but these little lines coming out, I'm just going to leave like a loose area of where they are so I can remember where they are. I'm going to come when you get down to this part here with these two lines coming out, you can just kind of come right up about there and then just leave that area kind of open just so that you know where it's at. And now I bet you can kind of tell what this is going to be. Very cool. So do you see on mine where I have some darker areas of paint and some lighter areas of paint because that's just kind of how the brush strokes are coming on? That is awesome for this painting. That is so awesome. That's exactly what we want to happen, okay? So I've got my background all filled in and I'm going to really clean that brush. I dried it off, and again, I like to just really put it through my fingers to make sure that my brush tip reforms perfectly and dries that way. So that's a little brush tip there. So I will wait till you all have your background filled in. So please let me know in the comments when you're ready to move on. And the next element we're going to do, or element rather, we're going to be using our round brush and we're still going to be using our blue. So just so you're prepared with the next step. Okay, so when you are done with your background, please say done in the comments. Everyone's busy painting. While I'm waiting for everyone to say done, so we have 6 painters painting with us live, it looks like. So I'm just going to wait till you guys say done because I really want you to be done with the background before we move on. So I'm going to rinse my water out, just waiting for you guys. That's not what you need to do. You just need to tell me done and ready. Back with some fresh water. Okay, Leilani, thank you for telling me you're watching. Okay, Margie's done. So we have 6 painters. I'm not going to wait for 6 people to tell me done, but as soon as I see that most of y'all are getting done, we're going to move on. Thank you, Constance. Okay, we're going to move on to our round brush, and we're just going to kind of let this background dry right now. And we're going to dip into our blue and start adding some details to our green elements. So I'm going to dip into my blue, spin the tip, and I'm going to go up to this top one. And you can turn your canvas around if you want to make it easier. But I'm going to pull up a dark blue line. Let me pull this up so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just pulling up a dark blue line towards the center, and I'm going to make a little bit of a round edge here, like that. And I'm going to do it over here too, not so far up, but maybe just a little bit up. And I'm going to round the edge a little bit. So now I'm curious, I will just ask you all if you know what you're painting. And if you do, go ahead and type it. Let's see who knows what we're painting. Does anyone know what we're painting? Let me know in the comments. So I'm adding a little bit of water to my blue because I want it to be a little more flowy. Yes, Margaret got it right. Yes. So I wanted you to know what you are painting now so that we could really have some fun in envisioning what it's going to be. So do you all know what these are? Yes, Constance, these are lily pads and a koi. Isn't that exciting? And so what we're doing now to our lily pads is we're going to start to add some details. So I'm going to do the same thing on this lily pad as we did up here. Now here is a little tip. When we pull in some of the blue lines, if you can stay along one of these brush elements that we pulled, that's going to make it work much better. So let me show you what I mean. I'm going to pull in a thin blue line and I'm going to stay along this green brush stroke, okay? So I'm just going to pull it in a little bit. I'm going to round the edges here, and we're going to start to make this lily pad more 3D. So I'm going to find another spot down here. I think I'll stay along here and pull another really thin blue line. I'm going to add a little more water because I still want it a little bit like I'm sketching. And I'm going to round the edges. Just adding some detail to our lily pads. And I'm going to do the same down here. I'm going to pick an area, like here's a good one. So I'm just going to pull a line in. Because when lily pads grow, they kind of grow like this. And there always seems to be an opening. Carrie. Carrie has a blue banana happening here. A blue banana and watermelon. This is hilarious. That's awesome. I love that. I just love that. And of course you would that's just awesome. That's awesome. All right. So now remember, you guys, we can always reshape this. When you know what it is at the end of the painting, you can always go in and reshape it. So you can always reshape your blue banana. So I'm going down here to this lily pad. I'm going to stay along this area, around these edges here, to try to insinuate there's an opening, okay? And then there might be another opening. Let me see. I want an opening here. And then you can also take and do some very small blue wisps coming from the center of each one. So I am going to now add some cool colors, or just a little bit more detail to my lily pads. I'm going to let's mix some blue and some green and a little bit of white. And I'm just going to come back in here and maybe pull some of this color. Almost looks like a gray. Just kind of pulling in some of that, adding it. And then you can also dip back into your green without rinsing your brush. Dip back into your green and maybe start adding more green to the edges of them and pulling in a little bit. See how I'm doing that? I'm just adding more green and then just pulling it in. That was kind of off the camera, so I'll do this a little closer. I'm just adding some more green, pulling it in a little bit. Just being fun and loose with it. Because my green dried very transparent, so I want to just pull in some more green here and there. It looks a little strange and, and blotchy on the camera as I'm looking at it on the screen, but it's actually not that dramatic looking in person. Okay. So that's kind of what you should have for your lily pads at the moment, okay? And then I'm going to take my smaller filbert, and I still have some blue. And now that my background is kind of dry, I want to go back in around my lily pads and just add another kind of coat of blue around the edge. And I'm also just kind of being painterly with it, painting it out a little bit. Does that make sense? So I'm just going in, and this is just going to kind of start to clean up my lily pad edges and also add a little bit of water depth underneath them, almost like it's a shadow. Okay. So just going to kind of go in and establish the edges more. And for Carrie and her mom, this would be around your watermelons. Oh, that is so funny. Blue banana and watermelon. That's so funny. How funny would it be, Carrie, if that would be our next mystery painting where I actually make you guys draw blue banana and some watermelon? People would be like, what is happening? Okay, I'm also going to go down here to this one. Just add a little bit more blue. And you see how I'm just fanning the paint out into the water on the edges. I'm just kind of, it's like blending a bit out into there, but it's just really super loose. But it's really kind of creating more of a water depth. Carrie said she may need a snack. All this food talk. Absolutely. Summer snacks. So you see how I'm starting to get like a depth feel just by doing this? It's more of it's very, very kind of cool looking. And then if you want to go back in and darken those original blue lines you put on your lily pad, that can work too. Just going to do that right now, because then we're just going to leave this whole area alone. So you should be starting to get a vibe like this. Brush going back in the water. And let's move on to our fish. We are going to come back and do a little bit more detail in this area, but let's get moving on to our fish, because that's going to be fun and exciting. Now, I don't want you in your heads going, oh my God, now I'm painting a fish and it's got to look like a fish. I still want you to be doing some really loose, fun painting strokes, okay? Just be fun and loose with it. So we're going to pour out our fish colors now, which are the warm colors. And because my palette is kind of small, I'm just going to move to a different styrofoam plate for those colors. We're still going to be referring back to our other colors, so don't throw that out. But now we're going to pull out our orange, our red, our yellow, I'm going to kind of put my yellow over here in case I want to do some mixing. Woo, that came out pretty quick. And then I'm going to also want some more white. So I'm just going to put white on this particular palette so I can just use it over there. So we've got our warm colors coming out, okay? You can always go back to this section. We're gonna be going back to this section and add a little bit more detail. So let's take our small filbert and we're just going to kind of loosely, we're just going to paint this loosely in, and we're going to do some layers of colors and things like that. So let's dip into our yellow, and I'm going to be dipping in, moving a little fast here. So let's put yellow on this side of our fish, just kind of loosely getting it in there, just to kind of establish the side of him. Okay. Don't be precious with that line there. Don't be precious with that. And then I'm going to dip into some orange right away and kind of add some orange. And do it kind of blotchy like this because these are actually his patterns on his body. And then on this side, I'm going to add some red, random red, like that. Some orange. Maybe some yellow. See, it almost does look like a banana, doesn't it, Carrie? Now it is a banana. And I'm going to pull some of this orange over here. Just kind of play with the shape. And I'm going to dip into some white and add some white up here. In a curve like that. Okay. And while I've got the white on my filbert, I'm just going to, you can probably see that line still in the middle. I'm just going to add some white, almost in a sketch fashion like this, to establish where his fin is on the top of him. So I'm just dipping in like that. You see that? Okay. And I'm also going to pull some white here and maybe pull some white out this way. So it should be starting to look something like this, but it's very loose, okay? Real loose strokes. And I'm going to rinse my brush because I want to get some pure white into the fins. but it's still going to be very loose, okay? So I'm going to dip into my pure white, and I want to just pull this fin out. Just like that. And then there's a fin on this side. Okay. And then there's one over here, just a real quick, like that. And then down on his tail, we want him to have a nice wispy white tail. Just wispy, keep it loose. Get some movement. Have fun with it. See what happens with the tail, because it's, you know, it's actually underwater. So I'm pulling my brush out and I'm getting some really cool, nice dry strokes with some texture. You see those cool dry strokes? I like that because it almost implies movement of the fish. So that's super, super cool to me. And then I'm going to pull some of our light blue back in. So I actually have to make some more. So I'm just going to quit. I'm going to rinse my brush completely. And then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to make some more light blue. Okay. And then with this light blue, I'm going to pull up some shadow. So I'll show you what I'm doing. I'm starting from this side of the fish and just kind of pulling up some blue in some curvy strokes. See that? Just loose strokes. And I want to pull some of that blue into his fin a little bit. And we're going to add another fin here, a little baby fin in this blue. And then I want that blue in his tail too. So you'll probably get some cool blending effect because your white is still wet. We want to leave the white in there, but we want to pull some of that blue in. Into his fins. And then I'm going to add a little bit over here and just a teeny bit on this fin, just a teeny bit. I want to keep most of the blue on the right side of the fish. And then I'm also going to add a little bit of blue here, just like that. Keeping it loose. And I'm going to rinse my brush because I'd like to add some more red to his colors. So I'm going to add some more red, maybe up here. I want his red spots to show up. Cool. You can actually pull some red into his tail because sometimes their color goes right into their tail. And I'm going to put a little on his fin too. And I'm also going to put a little bit right on his nose in the front over here. Real loose, just real, keep it loose. Keep it loose and fun. So I want to establish where his eye is too. And his eye, actually I'm going to put back in his nose first because I see that I've kind of lost his nose. So I'm going to use my number 6 in my white. And I'm going to come back in and kind of establish where his nose is by a little, just a little curve like that. There's his lips. Those are his lips. If you want to pull in another little line, you can really show where his lips are. Like that. And you can go on this side too. Get a little bit of a white line to show where that side of his body is. And I'm going to rinse it. But I want to put where his eye is. So if you've got the lips here, his eye is going to go right about here, but it's going to stay on the side. So I'm going to use that with some dark blue. Just like that, just kind of so we know where his eye is. Okay. So you should kind of have this loose vibe so far, okay? Isn't this fun? I love this painting. I love this painting. So now we're going to move back to the water to just add some more darker depth. So I'm going to need a little bit more blue. I'm going to use my small filbert. We're going to move this aside for now. I'm going to use my small filbert. And what I'm going to do with the dark blue is just add some darker color along his body here. Add some depth. So I'm just staying next to his body with the dark paint around the fin a little bit, and then I'm just going to pull out into the water, okay? Just pull it out. So I'm going to do that around his nose too. Pull out a little bit. And that's just going to give us some more look that there's a depth happening. Being really loose as you pull it out. And I'm going to do that over here to his body too. And along the edge of the fin line. So I'm going to go in a little bit, establish the side of his body or his banana, depending on what painting you're painting. And then on this side of the fin, I'm just going to establish a nice clean line and pull it out a little bit. But I want to keep all of that wispy happening because that's beautiful. So just adding a little bit of the dark in here and pulling it out. I'm going to go down by his tail too and do the same thing. go along the tail a little bit and pull it out. I'm going to go in between the tail here. Establish a little bit darker. Pull it out. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side of his body, just to clean up the line of his body. Pull it out. You can even connect over here to the lily pad with your blue. Create some depth. Going back up here to this fin, kind of cutting in a little bit, pulling out. And I go down along this tail. See how that's creating more of a cool depth? Over here with my blue, I'm just going to kind of go in a curvy motion here. And I think I want to have some blue in here a little bit. And then I'm also going to do the same thing along his body here. So I'm going to change my canvas so I can get at it closer. So I'm going to come along here, kind of cut in there. Make a nice clean line. And pull it out. See how it's creating some depth. And I want to do that on this side too. Love it. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I hope you're loving yours. We've got some more details to add that are going to be very, very cool, but this is what we've got so far. So it's cool how we've got these darker areas starting to come in, and we're leaving our lighter original brush strokes to kind of imply water movement, which is very, very cool. Very cool. And I'm going to rinse my filbert. So the next thing we're going to do is it's going to be very fun and cool. We're going to take our round brush, and now we're going to add some details, some very subtle details to kind of start to define the fish and define the lily pads. And we're going to do that with our light blue again. So if you need to create some more light blue, go ahead and do that. And I'm going to twirl my brush. And then this is going to be kind of a two-part thing. We're going to first do this with light blue, and then we're going to come in with some pure white. So make a really nice tip on your brush because we want some delicate lines at this point. So I'm going to go to my lily pads first, and I'm going to take this light blue line, and kind of outline them, but not right next to the green. Okay. So this is, I'm going to move my canvas so I can really get at this. It's going to follow the line, but don't touch the green. So let me show you what I mean. Just follow, make a really thin kind of line like this. You might need to add some water to your paint to just make it flow more like originally we were using. And just kind of, you can sketch it into, but follow the lily pad with just a very light, thin, sketchy line. And they go in a little bit, come back out. And the line can vary in thickness. So I'm going to do that with this one as well. Really, really thin. Not touching the green, staying outside of the green. That's interesting. I'm getting a double line, which is cool. I'm just going to kind of follow like this. So what this is doing visually is implying that while the fish is swimming, it's making the lily pads move on the water, and the light is catching the movement of the water. Okay. You might even want to do a second little line like that. And I don't know if you just noticed what I did, but I took my finger and I smeared the line. And let me show you why. If you do another line and it starts out too abrupt, you can just do that and pull it onto your canvas, and you get a nice movement line. So we're going to do that on this down here on this lily pad too, on the side where the fish is moving. Okay. Just a sketchy. Like that. See that? Let's get some lily pad movement. I think I'll add another one for fun. Pull that one out maybe further. I'm loving it. And then I'm also going to do that same line around the fish, but I'm going to stay right close to the fish because this is not a wave. This is going to be more of a highlight to highlight the fish. So I'm just going to come along here. I'm going to go around the eye to show where the eye is. And then I'm going to dip right into my white without rinsing my brush, get a little tip. And I'm going to highlight this side of my fish with white. And you can even put a little shine on the top of his eye here, just like that. Okay, doing my white. And I'm going to take this line, go along his body. And then take the white again and kind of go along the fin a bit and pull it out, just like a highlight. Do it over here. I'm going to maybe stop halfway and then come back into the center and highlight that fin at the top of his body here, pulling it in. Just going to do a wavy line, and then I'm just pulling it back in a little bit. I'm going to go back in and pop his eye a little bit, but like that. Cool. And then I want an even wider line. So I'm going to rinse my brush. Go back into my paint. And I want to add some water to my white to make it more flowy. Not too thin because I don't want it to be transparent. And I want to keep a nice small tip. And I'm going to take this white line and just a little bit go along the tip of the fin like that to kind of establish the shape of the fin without really taking away from the very cool movement that we created. So my white got a little transparent. So I'm just going to go and do like a really cool little, see that? And now that's implying where the fin is. Isn't that cool? I'm very excited with this. I love this painting. I'm going to do it over here as well. Maybe establish where the side of it is. Like that. Down here. Maybe at the tip like this. Just a little bit. This one as well. Just a little bit. Where the abstract of the pull of your brush movement created this shape. So we're just highlighting that a little bit to imply where that tail is. And you can come along here. Isn't that cool? Cool effect. Almost like a very ghostly effect, right? Yay! Okay, Constance. Well, I can't wait to. Constance has to leave us early. We're almost done, but I can't wait to see your photo. So, as always, I really want to see the photos of your paintings, and if you can put your faces in, that's even more awesome. So, with this white line that we're still in, we're going to go back and highlight our original blue lines that we did, only this time we're going to make it a little smaller. So we're going to start in a little closer and highlight just some parts of it. Same thing over here. Give it almost a 3D effect. And then we're also going to add some sparkles, water sparkles. where the light caught it. So up along your lily pad lines, like about here, you can take your brush and pull it out in a star shape. And then over here, I do the same thing. Just pull it out very quick and wispy, randomly. And then there's going to be one down here too. Very quickly and wispy. And then come back in with some white and just do a bright dab of white right in the middle of that. You see how that looks like a sparkle on the water all of a sudden? Is that cool? That's so cool. Yes, yes, yes. And then for something super fun, our final element that we're going to add is actually a flower. So a lily pad flower. So I'm going to take my white and my small filbert and dip it in, and we're going to put a flower right over here. So hopefully this part for you is dry at this point. And you can kind of establish where you're going to put this flower. If you want to do a quick little circle, that's fine. Just a sketch, quick little circle. And then we're going to pull some lily pad petals out. Just have fun with it. Real loose. You'll probably have to do a few layers here so when your paint dries, so that you get like more of an opaque effect. But you know, make it like a little kid's sun shape, right? Like a sun that a little kid would draw. Let's get that filled in. Just like that. And then if you have, make some blue, some light blue, and in the middle of each of those petals, pull some blue in like this. That's going to be your first layer. Okay. I'm going to rinse my brush. And while I let this dry a little bit, I'm going to come back in and just with my detail brush, I'm just going to go along those first petals, the edges, and just make them nice and clean. Nice clean shape. And while we're painting, I would like to give a lot of props to my friend Sue, who's painting along with us today. And this painting was inspired by my friend Sue. My friend Sue sent me a picture of koi that she took, and she's like, wouldn't this be cool? And I'm like, okay, here we go. Done deal. Yes, Sue, of course. What did you think? This is it's not your photo, but it is kind of, do you know what I mean? Like I saw it and I'm like, oh yeah, we're doing a koi. So This painting is presented by Sue today. Yay! So then once you've got this done, you might want to hit this with a hairdryer, but then we want to do a second layer of petals, of white petals over that blue. So I'm just going to kind of pull those in like this. And then establish where they are. There we go. That's working. And you know, you can come back in and play with this flower as it dries. Or if you have some Posca acrylic pens, when it totally dries, you can come back in and really establish where these petals are. And then in the middle, I'm going to go back to my small filbert. And then I'm going to go back to my warm colors here. And I'm just going to dip into my yellow and really have some fun with the center here. I'm just going to plop in some yellow. Having just some super fun with it. And then I'm going to dip into my orange, maybe add some orange in there. Just being fun and loose with it. Super loose. And you guys, you just painted a koi. Look what you just did. I am so excited for you. Now remember, when you finish your painting, I really want you to sign it too. So for this painting, you could just sign it in a very light blue, maybe. Your choice, whatever you want to do. Like I'm just going to, I don't want my signature to overpower the painting, but I do want your names on them. So I'm going to, I think it needs to be a little lighter. I may have to come in and fix this. You guys, you painted a koi. Look what you did. Isn't this beautiful? Like, it's really beautiful. And here is my original idea. So when my friend Sue sent me the picture, I was like, oh my God, I have to paint this. So I painted it in my art journal. And then this is the painting that we just recreated. And I am so excited that you painted this painting along with me. I'm just so excited. I'm so excited because I can't wait to see what you painted. And, you know, take your time with it. Like if you've painted with me before or been painting with me for a while, you know that the next morning I like to get my coffee and sit down with the painting and maybe play around with it and add some details and just really enjoy the process. And, you know, that's okay too. But when you're done, I would love for you to send me a picture with your painting. Let me tell you a little secret about taking pictures with your paintings. If you set your phone up, like if you have a little stand or you set your phone up, you know, against a shelf or something, make it face towards you like you're going to take a selfie, right? So that you can see yourself in the phone, right? Set it up. and hit video. Okay. And then record yourself holding it up, smiling, looking at your phone, and then end the video and then look at it, and you can scroll through frame by frame on your video and do a snapshot, and then you've got a really great photo of yourself holding up your painting. And I would love to see your happy faces. And I'm so glad that you joined me. I hope you really, really had a nice time. And I see someone asked, thank you for asking. That's so sweet. If you enjoy them, and if you feel like you want to do a virtual tip jar, that's fine too. Here you go. I think is that backwards? No, it's fine. So you can screenshot that if you want. Not necessary, but I appreciate it if you want to continue to support the mystery paintings every first Saturday of the month. Tell your friends, and I can't wait to see your paintings. So thank you everyone for joining me, and I hope you have a great day. And we will talk again soon. I'll see you next month for the mystery painting. Okay. And I'm sure I'll see you before that. So take good care and have a great day. Bye.